Good day, this is Ray. Today is Saturday, May 4th, 2024 for me. Another day of learning and growing. Hope that you, your family, friends, and loved ones are doing well and staying safe. So this month for me is like a kind of a weird month because a lot has happened in May for me over the past years. 5 years ago this month, I was diagnosed with lupus. Now, I can't believe it's been 5 years since that diagnosis, but I've been living with lupus for more years than that. I want to say the symptoms started to present themselves maybe a year or two before I actually did something about it. It started with joint pain, swelling in my face. There were other symptoms that presented itself, but I really didn't pay attention to it until I started getting treatment for it. So anyway, how did I get the diagnosis? So I was living out west. I was a manager for the first time, and I think a lot of it. I think my lupus got worse from the stress of that position, for one thing. I worked crazy hours, basically working 7 days a week, and was trying to do the best that I could. It was actually 2018. I went to the emergency room. I forget which month it was. I think it was like September or something. Went to the emergency room, was treated in the emergency room, and then released that same day. They gave me fluids, and basically said it was anxiety. Gave me some medications that I had never taken. And anyway, fast forward to May of 2019. By that time, I was 50 pounds lighter than my normal weight. I was 145 pounds. And I was really struggling with everything, mobility, even getting in the shower. I was basically throwing up everything that I ate. I went maybe a week or two without eating food and had a very difficult time keeping down fluids. And I was in terrible shape. So I showed up to work early, like I normally do. And then the boss came in and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I looked at him, and in a moment of honesty, I said, "No, I'm not." And I ended up driving myself to the hospital. I was having a hard time with my hearing. I'm not even sure how to describe it. It sounded like I was listening to everything through water. So, it was just very, very strange. I heard a whooshing sound in my head, and I was in a lot of pain. As a matter of fact, when I got to the hospital, they put me in a wheelchair and wheeled me into one of the bays in the emergency room, and then almost right away they admitted me. Got me a room. Got to the room, and they hooked me up to a bunch of IVs, and I'm not even sure what I was being pumped with. I have no clue. It's been 5 years, and I was just scared. Before that time, I hadn't spent any time being treated in the hospital, except for that one day that I was in the emergency room in 2018. And doctors coming in and out, people coming in to draw my blood every couple hours. I get urine samples. I was being treated by respiratory therapist, and had a lot of different specialists coming in trying to figure out what was going on. And so they tested me for everything, and it wasn't that first day, because I was in the hospital for about, I want to say 11 days. That period I might have it backwards. Either 9 or 11 days, 8 or 11 days, and they were treating me aggressively. Well, one night when I was in the hospital, I had woken up in the middle of the night and vomited some food, but it went back into my lungs, and so I developed something called aspirational pneumonia in both lungs. And my oxygen levels went super low, probably in the 70s, maybe a little bit lower than that. And so they put me on a very high flow oxygen. I remember I had one doctor come in and say, if your oxygen doesn't improve, we might have to put you on life support. And so, I'm panicked. My mom is there, but she's staying in my condo, so she wasn't there to hear that. And I think by that point, my dad had just showed up in town. And so they were at the condo. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. And I was just laying there and I was crying. Like I hadn't cried in quite a while. And there were moments where I felt like giving up. I was in very bad shape. I couldn't get out of bed. Sometimes they had to give me a bedpan to use the bathroom because I can't even get up and walk to the bathroom that was in my room. And ended up having nurses wipe me, and I was extremely, I wouldn't say humiliating, but it was humbling. And I just thanked them and apologized. And it was a very rough go, but yeah, I spent a lot of just days and nights crying and hiding it from my doctor and from my parents, and just felt hopeless. I was discharged for a few days after that initial stay, but then went back to the hospital 2 or 3 days later when I wasn't showing any improvement. My mom got me to go. Had to catch an ambulance back to the hospital. Was there for, I want to say that was probably a shorter stay. It was about 8 days, but somewhere in there, either before I was discharged the first time or the second time, discharged the first time and then brought back, I was diagnosed with lupus. And I've heard of people or knew people that had lupus, but I didn't really understand what it was about. Basically immune system attacking different organs, and in my case it's kidneys and skin, lungs, experienced a lot of joint pain, and that was the beginning of a very long and scary journey. But anyway, I had made a decision that summer, not sure what month it was, because I went on medical leave after leaving the hospital, and I said I'm going to step down from my role. I'm going to move back home, and to try to get better. I really didn't know long term how this disease would affect my life, and of course, as you may all remember, 2019, everything's fine from a perspective of there were no widespread viruses going around. Let's put it that way. So I moved back home September of 2019. Drove cross country with my dad. Had a week off before I started in the office that I worked at previously, and I was only going to work there temporarily for a few months until I came to the office that I'm at now. And I worked in the office for a day. It was good to see everybody. It was either, I'm not sure if it was the day before or the weekend before, but I started feeling these pain in my chest. I mean, it's like one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. So after working one day at the new office, I was staying at a hotel. Went back to the hotel, tried to lay down on my back, couldn't even do that. It was so painful. It felt like I got kicked in the chest by a horse. It was so painful. I can't even describe how painful that was. It was the most pain I've ever experienced in my life. And so I didn't sleep that night. I put a bunch of pillows behind me, tried to sit up, and was like, man, this pain is just not going away. I was walking into work, and my boss at the time was walking in with me, and she asked me, and I don't remember the full details. I'm not sure if we even went upstairs or if I was upstairs and then she asked me this, but I think it was at the doors that she asked me. She was like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm in a lot of pain." And so she took me to the hospital, and she waited with me while I was being seen, and I explained to them what was going on, and they took a chest X-ray. They did a ultrasound of my leg, and very quickly they diagnosed me as having a PE and DVT, which means pulmonary embolism, deep vein thrombosis. I didn't feel any pain in my legs. They thought I was kind of weird because the biggest clot was in my leg, and they treated me with blood thinners. I was there for maybe 2 days, wasn't that long. Kind of had a funny experience when I was in the emergency room. They had a lot of doctors there that were training, and so they were asking me questions, asked me to tell my story. By this time, I've been able to tell my story about my diagnosis and what I've experienced so far prior to that hospitalization. And the doctor asked me a question. He said, "So have you experienced anything unusual, in the past day or two?" I said, "Yeah. When I came to the hospital, I was white, and now I'm black." And everybody in the room started laughing. I was like, "I'm sorry," And it's a bunch of new doctors. They probably won't forget that, anytime soon. But I had to have some type of levity, to get through that. I took off a couple of days. I didn't take off much time after that. I went home and they took care of it pretty well. Blood thinners helped out, but I've been on blood thinners ever since. Excuse me 1 second, let me pause. Yeah, I've been on blood thinners ever since, and that was an episode. The last hospitalization I had was February of 2020. I had started back again in the office that I'm with, and was there for about 2.5 days, and we took group pictures. Everybody was headed back after we took the pictures. Everybody was headed back to their desk, and the gentleman that I am let everybody go ahead of me, except there were my two of the managers were there with me, my boss and another manager. So I don't remember much, but I do remember I was having a hard time standing up, and I tried to sit down, and that was it. I had suffered a grand mal seizure. What I do remember is looking out the back of an ambulance, and I saw my boss behind me following the ambulance. And, I was sort of in a euphoric state, to be honest, because I wasn't scared. I was just a little confused. It took me a few days to really start to take things in, but a few days at the hospital, I noticed that my back was just killing me. And then they said that, yeah, your seizure was bad enough that you were clenched, and that you might have done damage to your back. And so gave me some very strong pain meds. I was discharged, went back home. I took a month of medical leave and ended up seeing, I'm not sure if it was a chiropractor or what, but they gave me a couple options. They said I could have back surgery, or wear a brace for some time. But I think ultimately back surgery was that was never going to happen. So I got a fitted brace and started to wear that. So fast forward to March of 2020, was at work for a day, and then my boss said, "You're going to be working at home for the foreseeable future. We're locking things down," because that was basically the beginning of the pandemic for the United States, so at least when it comes to locking everything down. It was going on before then, of course, but that's when we faced a lockdown. And so I was working from home. I was like one of the first people, not in the entire company, because we got people working from home for various positions, but I was the first one in my office, at least, to work from home, and I was able to help with the transition with the rest of the team, get them all set up so that they were ready to start work and to get off to a fast start. So I was home with my parents. I was just trying to get better. Didn't know, what the next few months was looking at. I was scared out of my mind because I'm immunocompromised, and living in that time when the virus was so prevalent and spreading across the country, just felt unsure about everything. And what I hated most about it was, I was diagnosed in May of 2019, so it was less than a year after my diagnosis that all this was going on, and I had met with a single group of people face to face that deals with lupus. So a lot of the meetings that I had were virtual, but that didn't really help because I didn't have that same type of interaction. And what I do want to say, strangely enough, May is a Lupus Awareness Month, is that ultimately you need to stay on top of your health. Don't be afraid to go see a doctor. Don't do like I did and basically just waste away in front of everybody and kind of go into denial about the whole thing and just say, well, I'll feel better. I'll just press on. 5 years, feels like I'm doing okay. I have flares from time to time, and that just seems like my routine. Basically, it sucks because I've lost a lot of friends along the way. Not through death, but just by pushing people away, because it's kind of hard to talk to people when they're not dealing with the same or something similar. And you see these videos, which I post once a week. You don't see the other 6 days. These videos for the most part are only 10 minutes. It's a little bit longer because I'm talking about my lupus diagnosis and my lupus journey so far, and how it's impacted my life. And it's been a paradigm shift for me. Definitely changed my focus, and I've noticed that I've really thrown myself into learning and education with my career, and just really focused in on that. And I'm not sure if that's because I'm looking for advancement in my career, or it's just because I lost a lot of confidence over the past few years, having this diagnosis and trying to deal with these new challenges. And maybe I'm overcompensating. I don't know, because I'm always wanting to get better at my job, and don't seem to be getting better at my relationships. I just kind of keep people at arm's length, which can't be good. I know it isn't, because I'm in this house alone. It's not often I get visitors. It's just my reality right now. Okay, if you made it this far, I'd be surprised if you did. It's almost a 20-minute video now. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. You'll know when I post my videos. You can find me at youtube.com/@lupuslifestyle. I'm losing my voice. Thanks for watching. You all take care.